We're back. Alrighty then, here we are once again at Welch's Math class, and we are continuing to work on Chapter 9, Beginnings of Algebra, Basics of Algebra, and you'll be happy to know we're in the last section, where we're going to be talking about, of all things, word problems with algebraic expressions mixed into the word problems, okay? And so what we're going to be doing, guys, is we're going to be translating these word problems into algebra, or into algebraic expressions and equations, and then solving those. Got some examples right up here on the board for you, a couple of expressions, and also an equation that we can do some work with. So I want you to, guys, maybe you could pause the video if you need to and capture these, and we're going to talk about each one. So pause for a second, capture each one, and let's catch these in your notes, and let's talk about how to translate these. Great, we are back again, and now we're going to go ahead and look at some translation here. These are things that I like to call word puzzles. 10 more than a number. 10 more than a number. What we look for in word puzzles are like 10 less than a number, or the sum of 6 times a number and the number. Those are all word puzzle expressions that can be translated into simple algebraic expressions. Let's talk about how we can do that. With a word puzzle, I think it's fairly important not to try to read the whole expression and then just write the answer. Lots of times it's really good to look at it piece by piece and put things together. So 10 more than a number. Let's just start with the number 10. Okay? So 10 what? 10 more. 10 more. That implies that what we're doing is adding. So 10 more than a number. Well, anytime we just have the phrase a number, we want to use a variable to represent that number. That's an unknown number. Okay, so anytime we have an unknown, we just use a variable to describe that. So how about just 10 plus x? Could be 10 plus p or 10 plus t. Any of that would be good. So 10 more than a number. All right, now let's contrast that real quickly with 10 less than a number. We start with 10. Now, what we're looking at here is 10 smaller than a number or 10 less than a number. All right, so what we want to do is actually this time, instead of taking a number away from 10, we want to take 10 away from the number. So this is 10 less than the actual number. Okay, 10 less than this unknown number right here. All right, with subtraction it's a little tricky because you have to get this order correct. With addition, 10 more than a number could have been written honestly as 10 plus x, or it actually could have been written as x plus 10. And both of those are correct. With subtraction, though, x minus 10 is not the same thing as 10 minus x. So 10 minus x there would have been incorrect. So this is 10 less than a number. All right? Let's move on to this next word puzzle. It gets a little more complex here. The sum of 6 times a number and the number. Okay, of course, a number, the number, that's going to be our variable. It's our unknown. All right, let's start off and kind of break this down a little bit. It starts off with the phrase, the sum. The sum. For the sum, what I'm going to do is put a plus sign. When I'm talking about a sum, I'm adding some things up. The sum of what? The sum of 6 times a number. Okay, so I'm adding 6 times a number. Let's just call that 6x. Okay. So the sum of 6x and the number, okay? Really it should say, I'm sorry, that's good. And the number, okay? So the number is x, okay? So the sum of 6 times a number and the number, 6x plus x. If we were to simplify that expression, of course, we could say 7x. If they ask on your Course Compass question in your homework, if they ask you to simplify it, then go ahead and simplify it. If they don't say anything about simplifying it, leave the expression as just simply 6x plus x. All right, now this last one is a fair amount more complex, and what we're talking about here, guys, is an equation. And you'll see how it's an equation here in just a second. Let's begin putting the word puzzle together. It says, it begins, the difference. What does difference mean in math? Okay, typically, yes, it means subtraction. The difference, okay, that's the difference right here. The difference of what? So we're going to subtract two things. What two things are we going to subtract? The difference of 6 times a number. Okay, so let's put a 6x right here. 6 times a number. And what? And 11. So the difference of 6 times a number, the difference of 6 times a number and 11, okay, there's my expression, is that's my equals. Right there. There's my equals. So the difference of 6 times a number and 11 is 19 less than 4 times the number. 19 less than 4 times the number. Okay? So fairly complex word puzzle that we put together this way. Let's review it again. The difference, subtraction, of 6 times a number, and 11, is 19 less than 4 times the number. 19 smaller than 4 times the number. Now, if we need to solve that equation, we know we can solve that equation. Let me create a little space here at the top, and let's do a quick solution for that equation. Just reviewing back a little bit. On solving equations here. So we'll go 6x minus 11 equals 4x minus 19. So again, the difference of 6 times a number and 11 is 19 less than 4 times the number. So to solve that, if we could simplify on either side, we would. Cannot simplify over here or over here. There's no like terms, and there's nothing to distribute. So we want to go second to transpose. We'll get our like terms together. I'll move the 4x across over here with the 6x. So I'll get 6x minus 4x. And I'll move the negative 11 across over here and make it a positive 11 and a negative 19. All right, so this becomes 2x. This becomes, I believe, what do you say? Negative 8? Absolutely, negative 8. Now we'll finish this off by clearing the coefficient off this variable by dividing it off. Divide by 2 here. And if we're going to divide by 2 on the left side, let's divide by 2 over here on the right side, and we'll get a negative 4. So the number that we were looking for turned out to be negative 4. So there's some examples of what we call word puzzles. All right, so let's call this one done with a quick little thing. I'm going to come back next time. I'm going to talk to you about something called comparison word problems, and give you a sense of how to deal with those in this section 9.8. So I will see you on the flip side.